So the Eagles drop a Week 5 matchup to the Denver Broncos, 21-17. And it was really a disappointing loss because it was a game that the Eagles were in control of for most of the night, or for most of the day, I should say. They were firmly in control. Statistically, Jalen Hurts finally had his best passing game of the year, 280 yards, a couple of touchdowns, one to Dallas Goedert, another to Saquon Barkley. Kept the ball out of harm's way again. No turnovers for Jalen Hurts. No turnovers through 5 weeks. No interceptions. And really an efficient game that was played by the entire offense. And they were in control. They had this game. It was theirs to win. They were playing well through 3 quarters. The defense was playing out of their minds. They really kept the Broncos offense at bay. They didn't allow Bo Nix to really get anything going for a while there. But going into the fourth quarter, they had a lead. I don't remember. I should know because I watched the game, but what was the score? Yes, the Eagles had a 17-3 lead going into the fourth quarter. I couldn't remember if it was 17-3 or 17-10, but they had a double-digit lead going into that fourth quarter. And that fourth quarter is really where the wheels came off for the Eagles. And one glaring part of this game that I have to make note of was the fact that Saquon Barkley only had 9 touches. He only touched the ball 9 times, including his 47-yard touchdown catch in the third quarter. I want you to think about that. I want you to just hear what I just said. Saquon Barkley, reigning 2024 NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and in some circles, probably an MVP candidate, or at least was in discussions to be an MVP candidate, only touched the ball 9 times, 6 carries, 3 catches. What is the number one responsibility of an offensive coordinator? I heard this defined on a football show I watched years ago. The number one job on the job description of an offensive coordinator is to get the ball into the hands of your best players X amount of times. In other words, your best players should be touching the ball as many times as possible over the course of one 60-minute football game. The Eagles have some of the best in the business. Best playmakers in the business. Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and to some people, because some people I think he's a top 5 tight end, and some other people think so as well. Some don't, but it's whatever. It's the job of the offensive coordinator to scheme plays for these guys so that they can get the ball in their hands and that they can show just how good an offense is. Because in order to score points, you have to have a solid offense, a solid offense at the very least. For Saquon Barkley to only touch the ball 9 times in one football game, 6 carries for 30 yards, which means that he still hasn't had his signature game yet of this year. He still hasn't broken 100 yards. He still hasn't broken the century mark. For him to only touch the ball 9 times in a game that the Eagles were up 17-3 in the closing minutes, or at least in going into the closing quarter of the game. Egregious isn't even the word that I can use. And the spotlight has to be glared down on Kevin Patullo. Now, I know I said in the past that Kevin Patullo deserves a chance to show what he can do. People were skeptical of the hire because it was in-house, because of what happened with Brian Johnson a couple of years ago. They were looking at this hire of Patullo with a raised eyebrow. But I was of the camp that said, hey, give him a chance. Let's see what he can do. He knows the system. He knows everybody. He has familiarity with the way that the Eagles want to play offense. Let's give him a chance. Let's see what he can do. I'm always about giving people chances, letting them prove themselves, earn their wares. And, listen, every great coach, every great football mind, they were once in the position of, an assistant, a quarterback coach, an offensive coordinator. Everyone had to work their way up through the ranks, and that's very much the case with Kevin Patullo. So, give him a chance. Let's see what he can do. This is a reflection on him, and hopefully he learns from this. Hopefully he gets valuable experience from this kind of game. When you have a 2-touchdown lead, of course, I'm very well aware of the fact that things happen. Comebacks do occur. Teams rally, make it competitive. But when you have a 17-point lead, or a 17-3 lead, a 14-point lead, and you have arguably the best running back in football on your team, is going into the fourth quarter, and all you need to do is salt the game away. You got to give him the ball. You just have to. You cannot ignore Saquon Barkley in that instance. You got to give him the ball. 26 needs to have the ball in his hand in order for the Eagles to go 5-0. Jalen Hurts, he had his day. He threw the ball 38 times, 280 yards. No turnovers. All right? You have to, at that point, you have to play to win the game. Kevin Patullo, I'm still, a lot of people are bailing on him. A lot of people are jumping ship. A lot of people are saying, hey, get this guy out of here. This guy is going to be the reason that we don't win. He's going to derail the offense. Everybody's not on the same page. I want to give him an opportunity to learn from his mistakes. He's got a short week to do it. But that's inexcusable for Saquon Barkley to only have 6 carries for 30 yards in a game. I don't even think he had that few carries since his rookie season. I don't even know if he had that few carries in his rookie season. That's just terrible. That's not cool, man. That's not it. When you're trying to win the game, you got to give the ball to your workhorse and let him put the game away. Now, that's not to say that there weren't other opportunities for the Eagles to make something happen. There was a play that people are talking about. Now, I don't want to keep picking on A.J. Brown, but I mean, I got to go by what I saw. I saw this in real time. A.J. Brown is lined up on the slot corner. A.J. Brown puts a little move on him, runs down the seam, running wide open. There's nobody within 20 yards of him. Jalen Hurts leads him, puts the ball in the spot where only A.J. can get it, and it looks as though A.J. Brown kind of hits the gas on his route a little bit. Or excuse me, he hits the brakes on his route. And by the time he realized what's happening, by the time he realizes that the ball is coming in his direction, he tries to cover some ground there. But by then, the ball is already sailed over his head, and it falls for an incomplete pass. That's a play where if AJ makes the catch, he's gone. Nobody's catching him. And who knows? We might be having a totally different discussion right now about the result of this game. Now, A.J. Brown, he's been in the news. He's been in the spotlight, both locally and nationally, for all the wrong reasons the last couple of weeks. That was his chance to make his statement, to make his presence felt in this game. And he didn't do it. Jalen gave him an opportunity, and A.J. Brown, whether he slowed up, whether his head wasn't in the play, or whether he, as he claims, it was just a miss on the quarterback's part, whatever the case was, it's not a good look for him, because certainly it looked as though A.J. just kind of eased up and didn't continue running the route. It's not a great look for him. So, and he catches that ball. Jalen Hurts easily has over 300 yards passing for the day. And A.J. Brown helps my fantasy team, but helps one of my fantasy teams wins, because I lost by a half a point in one of my leagues. If A.J. Brown catches that, I win that. I win that game in that league with flying colors. But that's neither here nor there. Now, there was confirmed reports that Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown all had a very productive sit-down after that game, after the Broncos game, and they were able to hash some things out. And they're claiming to all be on the same page now as far as the offense and what they want to do and how they want to do it. I'm going to believe Saquon because he's a stand-up guy. But I think me, along with many other Eagles fans, want to see the results play out on the field. So it wasn't. It was going good until it wasn't for the Eagles. And the defense, like I said, I give them their props. They played well, but in that last quarter, when your offense isn't doing anything and your defense is spending a lot of time on the field, you know, I don't care how good of a defense you are. Eventually, you're going to get gassed. You're going to be tired, and I think that the defense probably just ran out of gas in that game because the offense didn't manage their side of the bargain. They didn't manage their side of the ball well enough to preserve victory. And as the defense got tired, the Broncos offense started to pick it up a little bit more. We're seeing Bo Nix completing passes to guys like Cortland Sutton. I'm seeing J.K. Dobbins get 5, 6, 7 yards a pop against the run defense. Bo Nix is scrambling, making plays with his legs, getting 2-point conversions. Sean Payton is being aggressive. He's attacking the Eagles. Now, there were a lot of questionable calls in that game too. Questionable calls that went for the Broncos. They had a couple of suspect intentional grounding plays that weren't called. There was a play right at the end of the game where Dallas Goedert should have gotten a pass interference call right there at the goal line, and it wasn't called, which led to the Eagles having to attempt a last play Hail Mary, which fell short, which, looking back on it, could have been caught. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were both in the vicinity of making that catch, and two receivers on the same team trying to catch the ball. I think that if one of them was, if it was just one of them there, man, that Eagles had a chance, because Jalen put it right on the money. Eagles had a chance, and that place probably would have gone wild. I mean, the link would have detonated if they were able to pull that off. And just real quick too, shout out to Jalen Hurts, because after he threw that Hail Mary, immediately he took off running downfield, just in the off chance that the ball is bobbled up, that the ball is tipped up, and it's still flopping around in the air, and maybe he can make a play on it. That's the hustle. That's the heart that we talk about, that really endears Jalen to Eagles fans. He's really is all about winning. And he delivered a winning performance on Sunday. But the rest of the team was not able to follow suit. And that's why we're 4-1, a very frustrating 4-1, but we're 4-1, and it is what it is. Eagles offense has to be better. The play calling has to be better. We Saquon Barkley, and I'm going to talk about this later. He's got to be fed the ball so much that he throws up this next game, and I think that he will. The Eagles have to come out in this next game angry, feeling like we should be 5-0. We let one get away from us. Unacceptable loss. And I'm giving Kevin Patullo, I'm still willing to give him a chance. I'm still willing to let him see what he can do with this offense. But this is on him. 6 carries for Saquon Barkley. That's ridiculous, man. I couldn't believe it when I saw the final game log that Saquon Barkley only touched the ball 9, not even double-digit touches, let alone double-digit carries. He only had 6 carries and 9 or three catches for 9 total touches. Man, that's just mind-boggling. But it's an opportunity for the Eagles to learn from their mistakes, to apply what they learned, and go out in this next game and really set themselves up for a nice rebound, which I think they'll do. And I'll talk about this on a later segment. But this is something that the Eagles can learn from. This is a small bump in the road. Every team has them. Every team has those hits those little snags. we're not going to go undefeated anymore, so we can throw that out, throw out those hopes. Not that we were ever expecting to go undefeated, but now we can refocus and get back to work, continuing to work on the offense, and getting this ship back on right. We got a short week coming up this week against the Giants. I'll talk about them a little bit later. But yeah, this one was a tough one because of how it happened, because of how the script flipped almost in an instant. Once that fourth quarter, it was like a full moon. Once that fourth quarter hit, it was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde out there, because the Eagles were rolling. They were playing cohesively as a unit, and then all of a sudden they weren't. And we allowed the Broncos to hang around and steal a victory from us. But we got to move on. Got to put this one behind us. Can't ruminate on this one for too long. We got another game this coming Thursday, so they have to shape up, refocus, get back on track, and really go after this next game with some gusto, which I think they'll do. We've got enough leaders, enough veterans, enough guys who understand what it is we're trying to do. They understand that it's a marathon and not a sprint. These kind of things are going to happen. These kind of losses are going to affect us, but they won't affect us for the long term. I'm confident that they'll close the book on this one, and that they'll be in the right frame of mind for this next game. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they'll do that, and going from there to the Meadowlands and getting this thing back on track.